After all this emphasis on learning root notes, you will now see why they are so important. Remembering that in music, there are only 12 notes, you have 12 positions to put these scale patterns in to get all major and minor keys. Since we have been practicing the patterns in the key of C major and A minor, you only have 11 more positions to learn. It is very important that you fully understand how the scale patterns link up, and that you have memorized the positioning of the root notes in the patterns. If this is still not 100%, revise over the previous videos and then come back to this one. Here are the 5 pentatonic scale patterns linked up in the key of C and A minor. Now what's dictating what key we're in here is where the red notes and the blue notes are sitting. So at the moment all the red notes are sitting on the C notes and all the blue notes are sitting on an A note. Now if we move everything up 1 fret, now the major root notes of the pattern are sitting on a C sharp and D flat, making it in that key, and of course it has its minor relative. If we move up another fret, you can see that the patterns are still exactly the same, it's just that everything is moved up, moving it to another key. You can see here that the D pattern, which links up to the end of C, is starting to creep in on the left hand side. Moved up another fret and another key, and now we're in D sharp and E flat, or C minor. Now any of those major or minor chord shapes that fit inside the patterns will now be those chords. Whatever the root note is lying on for that chord shape is what that chord has become. For instance, if we grab the root note of the G pattern, the major root note, and we put the movable major chord shape in here, which is the G shape, and we play that chord, we'd now be playing a D sharp and E flat. And if we grabbed the minor root note, which is landing on C, and we played the movable E minor chord shape, then we'd now be playing a C minor chord. You can see here everything moved up another fret, and now in the key of E major, or C sharp and D flat minor. So all we have to do is decide whether we want to be playing in a major key or a minor key. Then place that root note onto the note of the key that we want. So let's say we want to play in the key of G sharp. All we have to do is put the root notes of one of the patterns onto a G sharp note. And then with all the patterns linking up correctly, all the other root notes will land on G sharp as well. And the same goes for minor keys. If you want to play in the key of E minor, for instance, you just place the minor root note of a scale pattern onto an E. So if we wanted to play in F major, and we're using the C pentatonic scale pattern, all we have to do is position the C pentatonic scale pattern so that the root note of the pattern lands onto an F note, like this. Then when you link up all the other patterns, then you have all the notes over the entire fretboard in the key of F. So here are some demonstrations on fitting all 5 of the scale patterns into a different key. So we start out where you've learned them all as in the key of C. So if we grab the G shape, and let's say that we just want to play in the key of G or E minor. It's the same thing, with the positions are the same. We want to put this root note, which is currently on a C, onto a G note. So when we move this pattern, just like in the diagram you've just seen, we move all of the patterns. So we want this note to be on a G. So we can either do that on the 15th fret or down here with the open strings. Okay, so the G shape is going to be now here and up here. Okay, so now the G shape is here, the E shape will lie right next to it, where it finishes off. The D shape will be here, C shape here, A shape here, and as we said before, the G shape again here. The word caged will just keep continuing on up. Okay, so let's say we want to play in the key of C minor. So if we use that same shape, the G shape, we know that the root note for the minor is down here. So we need this to land onto a C, which of course is right here. so that means that its relative major is D sharp or E flat. So with the G shape here, the A shape is going to lie here, the C shape here. Okay, so you notice that the major root note is still landing on D sharp and E flat, and the minor root note is still landing on C. No matter where you move one scale pattern, the rest of them are going to move with it, and all the root notes will stay exactly the same. Okay, so let's say we wanted to play an A sharp major, and we're going to use the A pattern. So we take the root note here, and we want this to be an A sharp. So we can either move it down to here, or up to here. We've got the root note landing on an A sharp. So with this here, now we've got a G shape here with the root note still landing on A sharp. E shape here, D shape here, back to the C shape, which links straight back to the A shape. And of course that will just keep continuing up, up, up. So wherever you put the root note, all the patterns go to it, and then you're in that key. So start with one scale pattern, position it, and you have all the other patterns link up together, and then it doesn't matter where you are on the fretboard, all the patterns will always link up in the same way to get the 12 major or minor keys.